Joining us today is a legend of the business. You may remember him as Akeem the African Dream, but most will remember him as the one-man gang. George Gray is here today. George, thanks for joining us.
Hey, it's a pleasure. I'm glad you invited me to call in and talk a little bit.
From what I see, you got into the business at the young age of 17, working in the Carolina independent circuit. Can you tell us a little bit about why you decided at 17, that's when you wanted to be a pro wrestler?
I was just a big fan of wrestling. I grew up in Spartanburg, and I watched Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling, Crockett Promotions, and just was a huge wrestling fan from an early age, and just decided one day wanted to do that for a living, and just was attracted to it, and luckily I got to do that, for quite a few years. So, I was a lucky person to be able to do what I wanted to do.
Definitely. Now, you worked in a lot of the territories, including the ICW, International Championship Wrestling, WCCW, World Class Championship Wrestling, Jim Crockett Promotions, just to name a few. Did you have any particular favorite to work for at that time while you were traveling around?
No, I wouldn't say I had any favorites. I mean, Florida was nice because, you're in Florida, of course, but I wouldn't say there was any particular favorites I had. It was just enjoyment of being a professional wrestler. I was just, it wasn't a matter of making a huge living or anything like that, trying to become a millionaire off of it. I just enjoyed what I was doing nightly and just was having a great time, at that particular time in my life, for territories, which, that was my favorite, was territories. But then, as years later, what happened to territories, so.
Yep. And now also, too, when you started, you didn't quite have a name, but Jim Ross at the time said about you, because you were an unnamed assailant attacking guys, he called you, he said he's a one-man gang. Did you guys have a name planned, or was that the name that you loved and it just stuck with you?
No, it wasn't any plan to it. It just happened that way, and that's just what they went with from then on, so. It turned out to be good for me, and I was just the right person at the right place, and the right person just said the right name, and that just stuck with me the rest of my career.
Sure. Now, you also, when you debuted in the WWE as the one-man gang along with Slick, was it easier to work with a manager, to have someone to feed off of? And how was Slick to work with?
It was, I'd never met the man before, but right away we got along really well, because just our habits were pretty much the same, and he was just an easy person to get along with, and great in-ring personality, great on the microphone, and just a nice person all the way around, so we never had no problems the whole time he managed me, never had a crossword or anything, so, it turned out to be really good for me, but we always joke. I always joke to him and tell him, I could have had a great career in WWF if I got Bobby Heenan or Jimmy Hart. But I had to end up with you, and you ruined my career. he always gets mad. He'd be yelling at me, "What do you mean I ruined your career?"
Well, now, as the one-man gang, you participated in the first ever Survivor Series pay-per-view as a member of Andre the Giant's team. Now, you're 6'9", and what was it like being in the same ring with Andre, who is 7'4"? Because not every day is there someone bigger than yourself, I imagine, during wrestling.
Well, even before that, I'd wrestled him in single matches, throughout my territory days, in all the different territories. He'd always come in as the baby face when he was traveling around, and I was always the heel. So we'd wrestled against each other in single matches. So, I've told people, being in the ring with Andre, I felt like a small child, basically, even though I was huge, for a normal human being. But, when you're in the ring with Andre the Giant, it's just, you can't even compare that. It's just, you can't even really describe it unless you've actually been beside the man up close. When you see him on TV or at a distance, but once you get up beside the man up close, this is just totally awesome person, and just unbelievable to his, he was a true true giant when you say a giant.
Definitely. Now, you had a little bit of a change going on from the one-man gang to Akeem, the African Dream. Can you take us back to how this idea was created and maybe who was behind it?
Well, I'm not really sure how it was created, but I mean, of course, the owner of the company at the time was the man behind it, of course, because all ideas, anything that would happen, had to go through Vince McMahon, and he was the final say-so on everything. So I'm pretty sure 100% that it was his idea. Slick claims, well, he gave him the idea, but I can't verify that, but
Sure.
Vince is the one that came up with the idea. He's the one that came up with the costume design and basically everything about it. He's the one that broke the news to me that I was going kind of be it was going to change me into a black man or whatever, and find my roots in Africa, and it was just crazy. I thought it was a joke at the time. I didn't even believe him, until they actually flew me up to New York to get fitted for the costume, so
Yep.
But I mean, in the long run it worked out. I mean, and when I go out to signings and stuff, people always, man, I loved Akeem. Akeem was the greatest. They always want to see that funky dance, or what they call it, dance, just the arm swing or whatever it was. I don't even know what it was really, but
Sure.
even African American people will come up to me, man, Akeem was the greatest. I loved Akeem. So
There you go.
obviously, I mean, the power of TV, I guess it worked. I'm not sure in today's time if you created a character that way, if it would work that way. So I don't know. But back in 1989, 1988, whatever it was, I guess at that time, you could get away with things like that.
Sure. Now, as Akeem, you also got to team with the late great Big Bossman and form the Twin Towers. Did you enjoy teaming with the Bossman, and what was he like to work with?
Bossman was a super nice guy. I never had no trouble with him. Just as just a point of history was when I was the UWF champion for Bill Watts Universal Wrestling Federation. I was his world champion, and when I was signed to leave to go to WWF, I had to lose the title, and I lost it to Big Bubba Rogers, who turned out to be, the Big Boss Man years, a little bit later.
Mm-hmm.
So it just happened to be I lost the UWF title to Big Bubba Rogers, and then several months later, here we got to team up as, him as the Big Boss Man, and so I thought that was just one of those ironic twist of things in history,
WrestleMania is coming up in a few months. You competed at WrestleMania 5 with the Big Boss Man as the Twin Towers, taking on the Rockers, in which you scored the win for your team, pinning Shawn Michaels. Is there anything you could tell the fans about WrestleMania, maybe, and how it feels to perform on the biggest stage of the year compared to maybe any other show during the year?
Well, I mean, people ask me about, what it feels like to be at a WrestleMania. I mean, yeah, it's exciting, but I mean, when you're in the WWF, I mean, you're doing a lot of big shows anyway. So we were traveling so much and on the road so much. When you went into a WrestleMania, it didn't really seem that big to us. Not to me anyway. I mean, because we had SummerSlams and other events during the year. And, and to us, back in those days, we were taking care of ourselves, basically. We had to get our own rental cars. We didn't have no special buses to pick us up or any, how it is nowadays.
Sure.
They have buses to take them to the events, and they're well taken care of. In our days, we were pretty much on our own. You get to the event however you had to get there, So, I mean, when it comes to WrestleMania, yeah, sure, you want to be a part of it, but, to me, it didn't really affect me that way. It didn't, because I've been in a lot of big events. I've been in stadium shows in Florida when I was working for Florida Championship Wrestling. I'd worked in the Superdome, for Mid-South Wrestling. So I'd been in big events already. So it really didn't affect me that, this is WrestleMania. So,
Sure.
I tell people that, and they just, they're like, man, I just don't know. I don't know. It just seemed like I'd be really nervous, but it was just another match to me. You just go out there and do what you had to do.
Definitely. Now we have some questions from some fans. One from Ryan in Poughkeepsie, New York. He's asking you if the African Dream name was a rib on Dusty Rhodes at that time, because I believe he had the American Dream.
Well, I mean, no, I don't believe it was because they brought him in. Of course, you know, he came in as the whatever they call him, the All-American workman, whatever it was. I don't remember what it was. Put him in the polka dots, and we had matches against each other. Me as Akeem, and of course him as Dusty Rhodes. So I don't believe it was. Why? I mean, why would you bring him in if you was ripping against the guy, right?
Sure. And he's also asking, which was harder wrestling for, in regional promotions like Mid South, or if the travel grind of the WWF at that time made it harder?
Oh, the WWF grind was way, way harder. I mean, in the territory days, you got to get home every once in a while. You know, you drive to the little town and you could come back home the same night, or you could take your family with you in a vehicle, you know, and make a 2 or 3 day little drive around a circuit or whatever. But WWF, it was, you know, every day jetting to another city, basically just like I tell people, it was just a rock show. We was basically just like a rock show is. We was on tour every day, going to a different city, you know, on a jet plane, and have to get your hotel room, have to get a rental car, have to perform, have to get food. Next day, go to another city and just repeat the same process over and over and over, day after day after day. So the grind on that was just terrible, you know, especially on a family life if you had a family.
Sure. And also, Josh Hill from Red Hook, New York asks about the Gimmick Battle Royal at WrestleMania 17. Did you have any funny stories, and what was it like coming back for then?
Well, originally they wanted me to come in as Akeem, and at that particular time I'd lost a lot of weight. You know, the suit was originally measured for someone at 400 pounds or better, and then at that particular time I dropped down to about 310 pounds. So the costume, there was no way it was going to fit, you know.
Sure.
So, and they didn't have time to make another one or anything. So Howard Finkel had called and said, well, he wants you to come in as Akeem, and I'll ask him if he can come in as one-man gang, you know. So Howard Finkel, you know, another day goes by, and he calls me back and says, oh, Vince says, yeah, you can come in as one-man gang, you know. So that's how that was. You know, I just went on in there. It was nice seeing the guys, you know, the guys in the Gimmick Battle Royal. The other guys, you know, most of them, I don't even, you know, the guys on the show, except for Austin and a few of the other guys, I didn't even really know who they were, you know, who they are. I never really met them or anything, but it was all nice. You know, it was a good time. You know, I had a good time at the WrestleMania and got to go out there and, you know, have a few good minutes in the ring and, you know, take a nice little bump over the top rope.
Sure. Now, you also appeared in the movie Stay Tuned, one of my personal favorites. How did this come about, and how did you get into the movie?
That came about just laying around the house here one night, and telephone rings, and it was Terry Funk, and they had offered the role to him. And I guess it just wasn't a big enough part, or he just wasn't interested in it, or whatever. And he gave him my name and telephone number and said, you know, contact this guy. He might be interested in doing it. And so the director contacted me, and you know, one thing led to another, and there I was, you know, putting on the costume to go out there and wrestle in the movie against, you know, against the people. So that's how it came about. Really, it was Terry Funk that really put my name in there. That's really the only movie I did. I didn't even really enjoy it. You know, it was
Sure.
just too much time to kill. It's just you know, you take one little 1 minute shot, and then they have to move the equipment all the way around, and it's like took forever. You know, it was just a horrible for me, just horrible. You know, just so long a time to do it. You know.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned the travel with WWE or WWF at the time. Did you ever have any favorites that you like to travel with? Any guys that you love traveling with?
Well, in WWF until the very end, about probably last 6 months or so, me and Slick did all traveling together. Him and I was every day, you know, it was just him and I, because we had the same habits, you know, didn't drink, didn't do any, you know, anything that would mess with your brain or any drugs, anything at all. We were pretty straight, you know, we're straight laced as could be. And, you know, so we kind of stuck together, and rented the car, split our hotel rooms and stuff like that, trying to save money on the road. And so that was about it. Me and Slick pretty much 100% of the time until about the last 6 months when they took the managers off the road. And I was by myself basically, so that's when it really became pretty expensive for me.
Definitely. Now, traveling all the time too. People see you all the time on TV. They get to know you. They think they know you when they see you on the road. But if you could tell me maybe briefly about the importance of keeping kayfabe, as they call it, back in your day, compared to like today, where that's pretty much out the window.
Well, back in mainly the territory days, WWF really wasn't that way because we was flying on jets every day, restaurants, whatever. It didn't really amount to much at that particular time. But territory days, it was very important. If you wasn't part of the show like a referee or anything like that, you wasn't even allowed in the dressing room. They wouldn't allow like a drink guy to come back in the dressing room to deliver drinks or anything. You have to throw them out, and cuss them out and tell them to get out. It was very, very strict back in the heyday, old school days, as I say.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it was important back in those days because the fans, you sold the tickets basically off of what the fans saw on TV, and the fans pretty much, I say, 80-90% of them really believed what was happening on TV. If you was a heel, they believed that you was really an evil person, doing some dastardly deeds to the good guy. So, when you come to the arena, they would come out and spend their hard-earned money to see that, good guy get his licks in on you, So, they honestly believe what they saw, pretty much everybody. They may say, I knew it wasn't this or that, but in reality, I think they really believe what they saw. They wouldn't come out, and spend their money like they did.
Sure. Now, do you get to actually watch any of today's products by any chance? Or do you keep up with it today?
No, I don't keep up with WWE at all. I just don't have no interest in it. I watch TNA every once in a while. I may DVR and watch it back. Same with Lucha Underground.
Mm-hmm.
I may watch it, but that's I'm not a full-time wrestling. If I watch any wrestling, I'll just YouTube, old school,
Sure.
Memphis or things like that. Not necessarily nothing with me on it because I don't watch my matches at all. I don't watch any of my interviews. I just don't like watching it. So I watch, the old Memphis shows and things like that I never really got to see, so more than any of the new product.
Sure. And one thing I want to bring up too, a lot of the fans out there, I definitely want to let them know about this too. Unfortunately, in August 2016, your home in Baton Rouge was affected by the flooding down there. How's everything doing? Are you okay? And I know there's a GoFundMe page. Maybe we could tell everybody about. I'll definitely put it up on our site.
Yeah, our house took in, not just our house. It was thousands of people down here. It was, but ours particularly, our house took in like 3 foot of water or so, pretty much lost, everything, furniture and everything else. And our animals survived and we survived, so other than that, it's just an act of nature. Nothing could have done to stop it. So, we're in the process of trying to get back, get it rebuilt and get back into it. It's a real slow process, but eventually, hopefully, we'll be back into the house and, that's just the way it is, so.
Sure. Yeah, we're going to let everybody know, too, about that GoFundMe page because I know a lot of fans out there, they still love you today. I hope all the fans out there listening can, help out the one-man gang today for that. And is there anywhere people can keep up with you on social media today?
Well, the only thing I do have a Facebook page where, people can ask me questions. I give them answers if it's a sensible question, So, I do have a Facebook page. I'll check in there every once or twice, 3 times a week. Sometimes I might put up a little, people ask me, like somebody asked me about my mohawk, how come I don't wear the mohawk anymore. So I, put up a little answer, and then somebody was asking me about, which character I enjoyed the better, Akeem or One Man Gang, things like that on the Facebook page.
Definitely.
And to track it down, I think it's One Man Gang is the page, but they put the one man. I think it's one man is one word. They wouldn't separate it for some way. It wouldn't separate into three separate names. I don't know why. I've tried to change it, and it just won't change. But I just type it in on Facebook. It'll pop up. You'll see me. I'm there as One Man Gang, and Akeem is a double picture on the little picture thing on Facebook. I don't know what you call it, whatever it's called.
Yeah, definitely. We'll link it up on our page when the show goes out. George, I really appreciate your time today, and I really, thank you for coming on the show and being able to talk to all the fans out there.
Well, as I'm glad I was able to. I appreciate you having me on the show, and I wish we had more time. We could talk a little more, but that's the way it is, and hopefully one of these signings somewhere, all the, people always want to know where I'll be at. Hopefully they'll bump into me at one of them somewhere, and I can shake their hand and take a picture with them,
That's right. Well, thanks again, and we appreciate it. We hope you have a good holiday and a happy New Year.
Yeah, and the same to you, and everybody's listening in on the show. Have a great Christmas, great holiday, and a good New Year. And, the One Man Gang is going to keep on going, baby.